I'd like to welcome everybody to the County of Chautauqua Industrial Development Agency Board of Directors meeting. We're at the BWB Building, 201 West 3rd Street, Jamestown, New York. We're also streaming live via YouTube and Zoom. It's April the 22nd at 10:30. We'll start with a roll call. Gary Henry's here. Dan Hetzenrader. Here. Megan Sheffield Smith.
Here.
Tom Harmon.
Here.
Amy Harding.
Here.
John Healy.
Here.
Kevin Muldowney.
Here.
Dan DeMark.
Here.
Welcome. You should have already received the March 25th, 2025 minutes and had a chance to review those. Do we have a motion to approve those minutes?
So moved.
Thank you, Sagan. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Amy. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? The minutes have been approved. We'll move right into new business. A, Tri-County Holding Corporation, presented by Rosie.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Tri-County Holding Corporation, I do have Azarella, the treasurer, online. Before I get into the loan request details, I will provide a background on Tri-County. Tri-County Holdings Corp. was founded in 1924. This recreational facility features 18 holes with multiple tee lengths to accommodate visitors of all ages and skill levels. In addition, there is a pro shop and a clubhouse with a restaurant on site. 46% of Tri-County's business comes from area residents, while the other 54% comes from out of county and out of state. In addition to daily operations, Tri-County holds numerous charity events throughout the year, and the clubhouse can be rented out for special occasions and events. In the fall of 2023, Tri-County Clubhouse was destroyed by a fire, and due to the devastating loss, membership totals declined, resulting in lost revenue. Tri-County was able to maintain 200 plus members in the 2024 season, but the clubhouse is a critical component to the business's operation and success. Tri-County is in the process of securing a funding approval from another commercial lender contingent upon the IDA's participation to complete the necessary renovation so that the clubhouse can be reopened, events can be held, and food and beverages can be served. Tri-County is requesting a loan amount of $250,000 from the IDA in order to pay down the commercial lender balance at a future date with loan funds become available. As I had mentioned, Tri-County is requesting $250,000 from the IDA at 4% for 20 years. And this is, of course, contingent on Tri-County receiving other financing from another lender. We would be subordinate lien position on the mortgage up to $675,000. Subordinate lien position on all accounts receivable, fixtures, furnishings, machinery, equipment, inventory, and assets of the company. And we'd also be waiving key man life insurance and personal guarantees as this is owned by stockholders. I do have PJ on the line who can answer any questions and provide an update as to where they're at with the clubhouse. PJ?
Good morning, everyone. Thanks for having me. At this point, as Rosie said, it's a critical component of our golf course is having the clubhouse. Maybe I didn't even understand how much it attracts and members. And after the fire, we lost 20 paying memberships, or about 40 people. And what's really happening is we don't have the adequate funds in place to finish the job and get the certificate of occupancy to get us back open again. And it's going to get to the point where jobs are going to be lost, and we employ over 50 people. So right now we're trying to right that ship, and we feel like we can get a lot of those members back. And it's also affected outings because we had to build a temporary clubhouse that only limits us to 100 people, and our regular clubhouse can hold 200. So it's a big difference in the amount of outings that we can have in capacity and traffic that goes through this facility. Without this funding, this project would not come to fruition anytime soon. And our fear is that it will continue to drop memberships, and then jobs will be directly affected. So we're asking for your support in any way, in any capacity possible.
Does the board have any questions for PJ? Yep.
I can comment on, first, there's two resolutions in front of you. One is to approve the loan, as Rosie just outlined. And the second is a due diligence resolution for possible IDA straight lease benefits. This is an unusual project in that it is both a recreational facility, because the statute specifically mentions recreational facilities, including golf facilities that are available to the public. This is also a commercial facility because this is a for-profit entity, so it qualifies on both of those. The due diligence resolution is sort of the common one that you've seen time and time again. It authorized and instructs staff and council to move forward, conducting due diligence. We would do a public hearing. We would look at the secret, the environmental impact, start doing the IDA documents to see if there's any legal issues, look at the corporate issues, look at the title issues, and when and if all of that checks out, a deviation notice if appropriate. But when and if all that checks out, then we would come back to you for final approval for a pilot.
Yes, and to speak on the pilot, again, that's a reconstruction and expansion of Tri-County Holding Corporation's clubhouse due to the fire. So the project will expand the previous floor plan and provide an updated kitchen, bar, and dining area and new modern amenities. It would be a 15-year pilot with sales tax abatement, mortgage reporting tax abatement, and then, of course, the property tax abatement. The property tax abatement over the life of the project is $610,492. I'm sorry, that would produce the pilot payments of $610,492. A total tax exemption of $695,695, and then the sales tax abatement of approximately $75,000, with the job creation of approximately 10 full-time equivalents over the next 3 years.
Thank you. Any questions from the board?
One last thing is that this was the loan committee reviewed it and is recommending approval to the board.
And the town also is in favor of the pilot, considering what the estimated property tax, estimated full market value will increase to. The town was very much in favor of this pilot.
Dan Hetzenrader, can you move new business A1 for us?
Absolutely. Resolution 04-22-25-01 of the members of Chautauqua County of Chautauqua Industrial Development Agency to approve an Altech loan EDA CARES Act funds or CRLF loan to Tri-County Holding Corporation.
Thank you. And do we have a second?
Second.
Tom? We'll go ahead and do a roll call vote. Gary Henry votes aye. Dan Hetzenrader?
Aye.
Megan Sheffield Smith?
Aye.
Tom Harmon?
Aye.
Amy Harding?
Aye.
John Healy?
Aye.
Kevin Muldowney?
Aye.
Dan DeMart?
Aye.
And the resolution is unanimously approved. Sagan, can you move new business A2 for us?
Resolution 04-22-2502, due diligence resolution and preliminary agreement, Tri-County Holding Corporation.
Thank you. And do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Dan. We'll go do a roll call vote on this as well. Gary Henry votes aye. Dan Hetzenrader?
Aye.
Megan Sheffield Smith?
Aye.
Tom Harmon?
Aye.
Amy Harding?
Aye.
John Healy?
Aye.
Kevin Muldowney?
Aye.
Dan DeMart?
Aye.
The resolution is unanimously approved. And thank you, PJ, for being here today and presenting. And we certainly wish you the best and hope you're able to get the clubhouse open and you have a good season.
I think on behalf of everybody at Tri-County, we can't thank you guys enough for your assistance on this. We appreciate it.
Well,
Look forward to seeing you all there.
BJ.
Thank you.
next we'll move into new business B, Comfort 3 PV LLC, presented by Christine.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll mention that we have John Rapp with us here today. I think he's on our screen twice, once for audio and once for video, I'm pretty sure. Welcome,
That's right.
John. John
Thank
is
you.
the President and CEO of RIC Energy. And we also have Jeremy Kaufman with us today. Jeremy is the project manager for development with RIC Energy, RIC Development. This company is probably very familiar by now to most of us. We've worked with them on at least 4 other projects in Chautauqua County, 2 in the town of Hanover and 2 in the town of Pomfret previously. The project before you today is for Pomfret 3 PV. LLC. And so it'll be the third one in Pomfret. And this project involves new construction of a 1.4 megawatt AC solar farm located on 11.9 acres, leased from Charles W. Pierce Jr., located at 4825 Webster Road in Fredonia, again, in the town of Pomfret. This is a nearly $3 million project. I know that John and Jeremy prepared a PowerPoint, very brief PowerPoint presentation to provide you with an overview. So now I'd like to turn it over to them for their couple of slide presentation.
And I'll share my screen quickly.
And while you're doing that, I'll just mention the application is for pilot tax lease. Before you today is a due diligence resolution and preliminary agreement that we'll describe in just a few minutes. But today, that's what's for consideration. Okay, we can see your screen, Jeremy.
Okay, cool. Well, thank you for the introduction. So I know you touched on this, but for anyone who doesn't know, RIC Energy is a global renewable energy company, where in the US we focus primarily on community solar projects throughout the state of New York. We've been in the US for over 15 years, and we are headquartered in New York State. And the project name is Pomfret 3 Solar. And Christine, I guess you touched on many of these, but this is
That's
kind
fine.
of
Go ahead.
our site plan, located off of Webster Road, a 1.4 megawatt project with a total project area of 11.98 acres. And these arrows here show that we are over a quarter mile from the nearest structure, which is actually on the property itself. And just some quick details. So this is a community solar project. One of the best features of this siting is you're unable to see this project from any point of view due to how far back it is placed within the parcel, as well as the dense surrounding screening to the east, south, and west. In addition to the vegetative screening that we're going to add just directly north of the project area, so that anyone going along, driving, walking along Webster Road cannot see this project, as well as any nearby residents. And the other key feature is that this does not displace active farmland. And just a quick overview of the timeline of what went into this project. So we got site control, signing the option agreement with the landowner July 2nd, 2021. We secured an interconnection agreement with National Grid March 23, 2023. And we received special use permit and site plan approval from the Town of Pomfret Town Board, November 6, 2024. And that's really it for a high level overview. So thank you.
Thank you, Jeremy. That was perfect. Also, Mark wanted me to mention that I have had several conversations with Town of Pomfret Supervisor Dan Pecos. And most recently, our new CFO, Shelby Bilski, and I had a meeting with Dan where we've been discussing this application, this project. And he very clearly indicated to us his and the town's support for the request for the project. Of course, as Jeremy just mentioned, the town has already approved the project, but they're also requesting that the CCIDA offer the pilot assistance in connection with the host community agreement that the client will have directly with the town. We're not a party to that, but they're asking for the pilot in connection with that. So are there any questions for Jeremy or John regarding the project before we ask Millen to review the resolution? Okay, Millen?
This is the same due diligence resolution, subject to all the same caveats. It instructs staff and council to move forward with all of the required due diligence. In this case, it probably includes a deviation notice, as the board typically deviates from your UTEP because each solar project is a little bit different, taking into account their host community agreement, et cetera. Other than that, we will move forward, do all the due diligence, including SECRA, and then come back to you when and if it's all wrapped up in a vote. And any of your questions are answered. With all of these, if any board member, even if you don't have a question today, if you have one later, reach out to Christine, we'll get the answer and present it as part of the final presentation to you when it's all done.
Thank you. Any questions from the board? Tom, can you move new business B1 for us?
Sure will. Resolution 04-22-25-03, due diligence resolution and preliminary agreement. Pomfret 3 V LLC.
Thank you. And do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you. We'll go ahead and do a roll call vote. Gary Henry votes aye. Dan Hetzenrader.
Aye.
Megan Sheffield Smith.
Aye.
Tom Harmon.
Aye.
Amy Harding.
Aye.
John Healy.
Aye.
Kevin Muldowney.
Aye.
Dan DeMart.
Aye.
The resolution is unanimously approved. Next, we'll.
Gentlemen.
Yes,
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Sorry to interrupt.
No. Next, we'll move into new business C, Artone LLC, an amending resolution presented by Shelby.
So we were approached by Artone requesting an amended resolution for increasing the amount that we are subordinate to PNC for their recent loan of $240,000 with us. It is good news. They are increasing their working capital amount with PNC up to 2 million. So we were at 750,000 and they are requesting to go to 2 million. This is due to a change in their, well, it's an increase in business and kind of a change in their customer base because one particular customer does not pay upfront like other customers do. So they're looking for something to kind of bridge that gap to give them the funding upfront to be able to fill those orders and continue and carry to build their business. Any questions?
Well, we're still in a very good collateral position.
Yes.
Correct?
Yes. Yep, the collateral would definitely be covered because it would be an increase in working capital, so their inventory would of course increase. Inventory, accounts receivable, items like that.
I didn't even bother doing a written resolution, so this would just be on a voice vote to allow for the further subordination. You're behind 750 now. This would bring it up to $2 million of the first loan. Just to keep the costs down, I didn't do a written resolution. We just want to make sure that, the board is okay with making this change to what you had previously approved.
Any questions from the board? Amy, would you move new business C1 for us?
04-22-25-04, amending resolution, Artone LLC.
And do we have a second?
I'll second.
Megan? We'll do a roll call vote. Gary Henry votes aye. Dan Hetzenrader.
Aye.
Megan Sheffield Smith.
Aye.
Tom Harmon.
Aye.
Amy Harding.
Aye.
John Healy.
Aye.
Kevin Muldowney.
Aye.
Dan DeMart.
Aye.
The resolution is unanimously approved and always good to hear when business is expanding here in town. Next, we'll move into the executive director's report.
Yeah, so I'll be quick here. One thing I wanted to do is point you to your packets. You'll see an envelope. You'll see the annual statement of financial disclosure that we're all required to do every year. It's due by the end of April. So if you could fill that out and either stick it in the envelope and send it to the county executive's office, or you could drop it off here to Jeanette and we'll do inter-office mail, make sure they get it. But please do that because I get bugged. And the only board, there's about 10 of them that all come through me. So please do that. If you have any questions, no. In terms of some updates, I wanted to give you just a real quick update on Ripley Industrial Park and Mason Industrial Park. The Ripley Industrial Park, we're working on contracts currently with Empire State Development, who is our ARC Appalachian Regional Commission basic agency. And that's for the two ARC grants that we got of $3 million, all said and done. So we're working through that. because that is federal money, we have Phillips Lytle, Matt Fitzgerald doing a NEPA review, which is like seeker, but for federal, at the federal level. So he's working on that. We're still sort of in limbo on the $3.27 million EDA Economic Adjustment Assistance Grant. We thought we were gonna get that. We were gonna hear by the end of the year, then it got pushed into 2025. And now everything's sort of on hold, but we're still feeling optimistic that you know, things will line up and the project will get approved. So we'll see. National Grid is currently working on the engineering for the electric extension. And we're working with their design people and our consulting firm, which is Clark Patterson Lee. We bid it out. We had 3 proposals. We evaluated them and we chose Clark Patterson Lee. So they're on board. And we hope to have a contract in place in the next couple of weeks. While the project is sort of the project costs are still a little bit in flux, we have $15 million right now secured. And we have the ability to scale back the project a little bit if we need to. Right now, we have a road that's and water and sewer extending in the site 3,000 feet as the optimal project, but we can scale that road back and we can sort of play with that if we need to. So we're feeling good about where we're at. And then in terms of a timeline, just real quick. So the contract should be in place in the next couple of weeks. The field work will occur from now up through June of 2025, which includes survey and mapping, geotech, investigation, wetland delineation. The design tasks will occur from May to December of 2025. That's the road, the water and sewer, the turn lane off of Shortman. The permits and approvals we expect to have in place between July and December of 2025. There's a lot of those. DOT, DOH, Town of Ripley, DEC. So there's a lot of approvals we need to get. And then the bidding and contract. So Clark Patterson Lee is doing the detailed engineering. Of course, then that work will be bid out and construction firms will bid on doing that work. So the big bidding and the contracts being put in place will occur between December and March of 2026. And then we hope that the construction activities can occur between March and October of 2026. Again, the access road, the turn lane, water, sewer, electric, etc. So that's sort of high level what we're looking at for Ripley and in the optimal schedule. With Mason Industrial Park, we again we have Clark Patterson Lee is our engineering firm. They completed the surveys there, and we will have a couple of layouts to review shortly. They did send over 3 different locations of where the road and the water and sewer will be stubbed in to the road. We chose one. We responded to them yesterday, actually. They're going to really define that location and you know, do some pre-engineering on that. And then they'll develop approximately 50% design plans and they'll coordinate with the utility providers to advance the designs. And then after they review that with the utility companies and with us, then they'll move to 100% design and permitting. So the timeline on that is, so seeker's complete. The design work between February and August of this year. Approvals between May and July of this year. bidding and contracts between July and August of this year. And then construction activities between August of this year and May of 2026, to give you a general idea. And that those construction activities are road, water, sewer, gas, electric, and construction restoration. So that's sort of in a nutshell where we're at with the two industrial parks. What else? Oh, I wanted to mention that, and if you want to jump in here too, Millen, that the Silver Creek School project closed last week. And I'm not kidding when I say that it was gymnastics, legal gymnastics. And there was probably 25 different entities involved. Between Stell and Park Row, the title insurance company, county real property, county legal, the clerk's office, the IDA, the funders, multiple attorneys, the mortgage company, and the list goes on, right? Millen. And it's amazing that it all came together in the 11th hour. I really have to commend the work Millen did, and everyone, but Millen really in the 11th hour sort of put this concept together about an indemnity, and and we were able to convince them that the IDA had the wherewithal to back it up. And
Well,
it's amazing.
Mark is being a bit modest because this is a great example of why you should be happy that you have Mark at the helm, because he had to coordinate with the county executive who had to sign a number of documents. Because remember, the county took title and then flipped it over to this agency. So there's the county executive, the county real estate department, the county attorney. He had to reach out to Senator Borrello, who was involved because he's a relative, so he knew the airship. Just coordinated all of that over the last 2 weeks or so to get, dozens of documents and, coordinating all that. It was fun to watch.
Yeah. Yeah, it's amazing. And maybe I'm not that close to a lot of projects, but it seems to me that this one had a lot of moving parts versus some of the others. I know there was other projects we've done that had a lot of moving parts, but there was a lot here.
Yeah, we don't usually report, obviously, every time we close a deal, but this one took so much more, had to come back to you for a second approval to get this title issue resolved. And as Mark says, there were an awful lot of moving parts. This one took a lot to get done. And even though it's not a, huge project, it is involving, a central piece of Silver Creek and, an old school. And it's going to be very visible when all this is done.
Yeah. And we're going to we're working on a press release right now with Stell. Jason's taking the lead on that. And so there'll be something official coming out here in the coming days, week, or whatever. But really exciting, removes something that's been, bringing down the community for a long time that's unsafe, and it's going to be replacing it with a beautiful new housing facility for seniors. So really good stuff. And then lastly, for me at least, you'll tomorrow night, the legislature will be voting on appointing a new board member to our board to replace Steve Thorpe. And so next month, I'll be introducing him to the board, but his name is Ted Whitman, and he is from Sinclairville, and he is part of the Carpenters Union. He's a business representative for them, and he's a real good guy. Gary and I met with him for lunch a few weeks ago, and I'm really excited because what I was really impressed by was how he's really tuned into the community and knows what's going on, and looking forward to him joining our ranks. So that'll be next month that I'll talk more about him. So does anybody have any questions or?
I just have one thing, Mark, if I can. I just want to thank yourself and everyone involved with the Silver Creek project. I've been a resident for over 30 years, and this has been every day. I see this thing every single day. This is just wonderful news that this is going to happen. So thank you, and thank everyone involved. I do appreciate it. So that's from all the residents as well.
Yeah, I mean, I could say a lot more, but I mean, the legal department, was really great. The real property was really cooperative. You know, Kristen Wright in the legal department, she really stepped up. And then we called on Steve Abdella to kind of go in there because he knows the lay of the land there, and he was available, and he went in there and spent a day making sure all the Ts were crossed and the Is were dotted and everything lined up. And yeah, so it was a total team effort. And thanks for saying that.
Absolutely. Thank you, Mark.
Very good. Next, we'll have the treasurer's report by Shelby.
Thanks. So we'll start with page 1 in your packet, the balance sheet. Nothing really out of ordinary to call out here. Our cash is comfortable. Like per Mark's report, we have a lot of projects upcoming that we are definitely managing the pennies for, so that we have the coverage, the cash coverage for that. We're kind of doing the same with the loan funds. So we're trying to plan out, being able to fund certain loans based on, when the timing comes to cash, so that again, we don't strap ourselves, given that we have, quite a few in the hopper. So we're managing that pretty directly. That's really all for the assets. Liabilities, current liabilities, that's primarily, accruals, vacation accruals, stuff like that. There's not a lot of payables. We pretty much enter them and pay them about at the same time. So nothing really to call out there. And then, we have the typical deferred revenue, based on when we spend it. Primarily that's built up of the the Ripley site of the 2.9 million. So that's really all to call out on the balance sheet. The P&L on the next page is really where the bread and butter is. So the one thing that I want to call out on the revenue side is the last line where there was a gain on sale of assets. This is a parcel that we actually sold kind of in December, but we closed on it in January. So we had to recognize the gain, and it really wasn't a gain. It's more how we had to recognize the land when we acquired it. So it kind of goes off of how that ownership was transferred. So how it was recognized on our books. So again, it's a little misleading of the 39,000 because it really wasn't a gain. It was just how we had to recognize it when we acquired that land, which was long before my time.
That's the Lucy Energy deal?
Yes. Yep. So
Shelley,
it was-
can I have
sure.
one more comment?
Sure.
Anyone who looks at this and sees that the IDA has only made $250 this year, therefore leading to an excess of, a loss. That is probably true through March 31st.
Yes, and
But
that's,
I think there's four, I apologize. Shelley.
that's okay. Something ahead of me. I'll get there. I'll get there. So as far as the expenses go, there really isn't much to call out here outside of some of these expenses were paid out and then we're going to be reimbursed from a grant. And so some of the deficit at the bottom is due to timing because of collecting funds for the grants. Some of those we have to expend first and then we apply for, or, submit for reimbursement and then we would recognize it in Q2. And then like per mill in the comments, we did close on 3 projects last week and collected the funds. So that totaled 365,000. So that would bring that loss of 300,000 down to up to a positive 64,000. And then your total loss of 188,000 would actually be a gain of 177,000. So again, that just boils down to timing. And I think that that's kind of typical for Q1, just based on the business. A lot of things are slow in Q1. And we also have some timing of some receivables from past projects where we kind of put them on a payment plan and they pay in June, July, August annually. So we would kind of catch that back up in Q2 and Q3 as well.
Mhm.
And then the final page is just the comparison to the budget. again, that just boils down to timing. And historically, how we produce the budgets, we just budget them annually and then just peanut butter spread it across the months. So when you look at the year-to-date budget comparison, it is a little misleading because some of the timing kind of falls back into, Q2, Q3. And also it kind of depends on when certain projects break ground and we could recognize that revenue that is budgeted. So overall, everything's kind of going as planned and no concerns.
We have a motion to accept the treasurer's report. Thank you, Sagan. Do we have a second?
I can second it.
Thank you. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The treasurer's report has been accepted. Thank you. At this point, I would entertain a motion to go into executive session. The purpose of discussing the financial or credit history of a particular person or corporation. In particular, I would like to discuss the status of our loan portfolio and the financial and credit status of some of our borrowers. Do I hear such a motion?
Motion.
Thank you, John. Do I have a second? Thank you, Kevin. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, we'll go into executive session. We are back in open session, and I would like to report that there were no actions or votes taken during executive session, and therefore no minutes of the meeting were taken. Is there any old business to come before the board? Hearing none, we'll consider the meeting adjourned. The next CCIDA board meeting will be May the 27th at 10:30. We'll be meeting here again at the BWB Building, 201 West 3rd Street, Jamestown, New York, and we'll stream live on YouTube and Zoom. Thank you.